We are joined in the studios right now by Professor of Political Science at Somerset Community College, James Taylor. He is, of course, a regular guest on the show, and thanks for taking the time to come in and talk to us today, James.
Great to be back, Greg.
And I want to say, again, with our election coverage on Tuesday night, man, I am so proud to have the crew of you three in there doing it, because you make it sound great. It sounds professional. It sounds like real political coverage, man. I really appreciate what you've been doing for us.
Oh, well, we love doing it. So I think it's great that we can have that opportunity to do the results and let the people know what's going on.
Yes, sir. Now, the main reason we brought you in today, this is almost like a triage sort of interview we've got going on here, because on social media and the internet, people are discussing, throwing around the whole Electoral College situation. They're tossing out things that they are pulling out of thin air and talking about them like they're facts. Well, we brought you in to let people know what's really up with the Electoral College.
Well, and I tell you, that's kind of standard for social media. You get a lot of things thrown out there, and especially in this election, obviously it was very heated on both sides. And this situation that we have, people are also looking at the fact that Hillary Clinton ended up winning the popular vote, and then Trump won the Electoral College, which is not unprecedented. We've had it happen. I think this is the fifth time in our country's history it's happened. The most recent was the 2000 presidential race, where we had the Florida situation, but ultimately Al Gore ended up winning the popular vote by about 500,000 votes.
Yes, sir. And one thing that has many people confused on social media, they think that the Electoral College, the votes that they were seeing on the screen, when they were watching it Tuesday night, that is the way the Electoral College is decided. It's not really happening until December 19th, right? Let people know how that really works, please.
Yeah, the way the Electoral College was set up, and of course it was set up originally in the Constitution in Article 2 that talks about the president, and the way the Electoral College works, first of all, it's a process, not an actual place or an institution, but the way that works is during a presidential election, when we have the vote, each party, in fact, each candidate, so the independents and third-party candidates do this as well, each one chooses a what we call a slate of electors for each state, and each state's assigned the number of Electoral College votes based upon the number of members in the House that they have, as well as the 2 senators that each state gets. So, for example, Kentucky has a total of 8 electors. And the way that works is the general election is held to determine who gets the state's electors. In every state except for Nebraska and Maine, it is a winner-take-all system. So whoever wins the most votes in a state, it doesn't even have to be a majority. Whoever wins the most votes in the state, that candidate gets all of that state's Electoral College votes. As I said, except in Nebraska and Maine, they decide it a little bit differently. They break it up based on congressional districts, so you can have split votes there. But what happens is we have our election in November. That's the general election. That determines where those Electoral College votes are supposed to go. Now, whoever wins...
Supposed to go,
exactly. And what happens is in December, it is described as the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. So it's not an actual set date. It's a set day, and so this year it'll be December 19th. The Electoral College will vote. Now, these electors don't even all get together in Washington, D.C. from all the states. What they do is they go to the respective state capitals. So here in Kentucky, our electors will go to Frankfort, and they will cast their vote based upon what the vote of the state was. And again, those electors are handpicked by the political parties and the candidates themselves, so that in Kentucky, those 8 electors, since Kentucky went to Trump, those 8 electors are the slate of electors that was handpicked by the Kentucky Republican Party. So they go to Frankfort, and then they cast their votes. It's not a secret ballot. It is done in the open, and so once the Electoral College votes are cast in each state, and it's all done on the same day, once those votes are cast, those votes are mailed to the U.S. Congress, the president of the Senate, who is also the vice president of the United States, and that's a story for another day. But the president of the Senate oversees a joint session of both the House of Representatives and the Senate in counting the votes up tallying up all the votes from all the states, and then announces who the winner is based on that. Now, a lot of the rumors out there are about, that could change and Hillary could still be president. Theoretically, that could be possible because the electors themselves are not typically bound by law, except in some states. The way it works with that, just like with the elections, each state makes their own laws concerning that. Here in Kentucky, our electors are not bound by state law to vote the way that the state went, although it's very unlikely that they would vote against that because, again, they're handpicked by the political party themselves. So they're going to pick, and typically the way they do that is they'll pick people that are loyal to the party, that have contributed to the party over the years, and so it's kind of an honor position to be picked as an elector. Some states do have laws that bind their electors. In some states, if you're an elector and you become what we refer to as a faithless elector, which means you change your vote from what it's supposed to be, some states fine you. For example, Washington State, and I'm mentioning that one because we had going into this election, one of the Democratic electors that was chosen saying that if Hillary won Washington State, which she did, that he would not vote for her, that he would change his vote. Well, if he does that, he gets a $1,000 fine.
$1,000.
$1,000.
Right.
Yeah. In some states, it's $500. Now, other states are a little stricter with that, with trying to prevent faithless electors. And what they do is they have alternate electors. So, and again, it's done all in the open, so they know who's voting. Yeah. They will actually replace, if someone votes against what they're supposed to, they will actually cancel that vote and replace them with the backup elector or the alternate elector.
They can, not necessarily they will.
Right, they can, right, yeah. Not necessarily that they will, but in some states they do have that as the law. Some states have a combination of that and a fine. I do not believe we have ever had an elector punished with jail time or anything like that in any state because they were a faithless elector. Also, to kind of give you some perspective on this, again, it's because the way the electors are chosen, handpicked by the party. I believe since World War II, 99% of the electors have voted the way that their state went. So 99% have voted the way they're supposed to.
And am I right that we have never had the Electoral College in the end decide differently than the electoral?
Right.
They've always gone with it.
Right.
If we're looking at statistics, 100% of the time.
Exactly. You have had electors that have changed in protest or something like that, but not to the point that it actually changed the outcome of the election.
So here's then the last thing that I want you to clear up for people that is being just tossed around and around and around. What exactly would have to happen for Hillary Clinton to make it through there? Because you said there is a way it could happen.
Right.
What exactly would have to happen? Because people are just theorizing all kinds of craziness online.
Right. What would have to happen in that case? Because I believe at the last tally, Donald Trump ended up with about 290 Electoral College votes. Well, in order to win the presidency, you have to have 270 Electoral College votes actually cast for you on December 19th.
In December, not election.
Not the election. In December, when the Electoral College, the electors actually meet in their state capitals, when they cast their votes, that, and when they are certified, when they are announced by the President of the Senate, that makes it official. But what you would have to have happen is you would have to have essentially a mass exodus of Electoral College votes, because I think Hillary Clinton ended up with somewhere around 248, maybe 250 in the Electoral College. So you would have to have at least around 20 or more faithless electors that were handpicked by the Republicans for their state that went to Trump. About 20 of them or more would have to actually change their vote. And again, some states, that wouldn't even work because they do have that
They're required,
backup.
right.
Yeah, they have that alternate elector there, so they are required. So it is very, very unlikely that would occur.
Almost an impossibility.
Almost an impossibility.
But if there's one thing we've seen in this election cycle, and I'm talking clear back to before the primaries, this has been a non-stop parade of unprecedented events, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just
Absolutely.
non-stop things that have never happened before.
Yeah, I mean, this, just the from the primary season alone, and certainly throughout the general election, this really has been an unprecedented campaign election cycle. Not to further convolute things, but there is another potential possibility of what could happen with the Electoral College vote. If you had enough electors that decided to change their vote, and again, these are handpicked by the Republican Party in those states that Trump won, if you had enough that wanted to change their vote and could change their vote if they were not in a state that bound them, which Kentucky is not a state that binds their electors, but if you had enough to switch, not to give Clinton 270, but to come up with a tie, enough electors to make it 269 to 269, in that very again, improbable case.
Who gets to pick?
What would happen is the House of Representatives, it would go to the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives would decide who the president is. And the House would actually, in the House of Representatives, you have multiple representatives from each state because it's based on the population. Well, in that situation, what would happen is the House actually votes as state blocks. So each state would get one vote, as opposed to however many representatives they have. And of course, as it stands, the Republicans do have control of the House of Representatives. Interestingly enough, that would not happen until in January. So the new House of Representatives, based upon Tuesday's election, would be the ones to decide. Now, of course, the Republicans still maintain control of the House. So it would still essentially, unless you had Republican House members deciding to go against their party, it would still likely, the turnout would be, or the result would be the same, that Trump would be the president.
Yes, sir. Well, again, James, thanks so much for coming in and clearing this up for us today. And to make sure before you go, tell people what you got going on at the college today.
Yeah, this morning in about 40 minutes at 10 a.m. on campus in the Meese Auditorium, which is located in the center of campus there, we have our Veterans Day celebration going on for the Somerset campus. Like I said, it's at 10 a.m. We've got a great presentation lined up. We're going to have a color guard there. We're going to have some of the student vets going through the flag folding ceremony and what each fold means in the flag, as well as we're going to have a presentation by one of our professors on campus that does 3D printing and is kind of a leader in the state on 3D printing. And he is going to go through a presentation that not only involves how 3D printing can help veterans that have lost limbs in potentially 3D printing prosthetics, but also in how veterans can potentially do a business at home, because 3D printers have seriously decreased in cost. And so he's going to go through a whole presentation on that. It'll be great. It is free and open to the public. Starts at 10 a.m. and we'd love to see everybody come out for that.
Well, good luck with that. Thanks again, and thanks again for your help on Tuesday night and the great program we had there during our election coverage. And thanks for coming in and giving us the facts about the Electoral College.
Happy to do it, Greg, and I appreciate you having me.
Again, folks, we've been talking to James Taylor, professor of political science at Somerset Community College, giving us the bottom line on the Electoral College. Stay with us. All kinds of your favorite music and programming coming up right after the break.
Somerset 106.